Hi kittens, this is Sugar for House of Cyanide, and this is going to be the third video on psychic shielding and protection. Before I get into other ways and things that you can do to protect yourself and shield yourself psychically, excuse me. I want to explain why it's important, because I don't believe I did a good enough job in the last video. Besides the things out there that can and will feed off your energy, the question is, why is it so important when you start working in this field? And the reason, the kind of the opinion that I've come to is that ignorance is bliss. So I believe I came through this philosophy after watching Spirited Away. I could be wrong, but there was an anime that talked about this, and it kind of, they talked about it and they kind of explained it, and then that's kind of when it occurred to me. So sometimes my epiphanies come in strange ways. But basically the concept is ignorance is bliss. So the way that I look at it is that a normal average human being who is not psychically aware, practicing New Age occult or magic or any of that, they're just a normal lay person, they are like a light bulb with the dimmer switch on. So they are alive, so their light is lit, but the dimmer switch is on, so it's just barely kind of glowing, okay? And when you awaken to the possibilities of the universe out there and you start working psychically, magically, with the occult, etc., that dimmer switch gets turned brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter. And so the more that you study, work, learn about these things, the brighter your light starts to shine. So the more aware you become, the more you broadcast that you are aware to the unseen, if you will. And so then they become aware that you are aware, and they will start to pester you. So that is why it's important to protect yourself, because if you were unaware, then they will leave you alone because you're going to ignore them out of ignorance. I'm not sure if I'm explaining this well, but basically the concept of ignorance is bliss. You are protected by your innocence. You are protected by being unknowing. And the minute that you become knowledgeable, then you are no longer protected, and then you must protect yourself. The moment that you are no longer naive, you are no longer protected. Now, some people are born knowledgeable. Some people are born with this innate knowledge, and they have to learn the hard way as children to protect themselves. And some people have to have a harder time waking up. Okay? So each person has their own journey and their own path. So I wanted to try to explain that a little bit more. Maybe I'm over-explaining it, I don't know, but I'd rather over-explain it than under-explain it. So if that makes sense to you guys, let me know. If not, I will try to do an entire separate video on the concept of ignorance is bliss. And I have more theories and knowledge to kind of back up that opinion, but I'm not going to go into it here because I've got other things to talk about, and that is shielding. So besides the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, that is a mouthful, by the way. Besides that, there are tons of other meditations online that you can do. Again, I might add some YouTube videos and links down below if I find some good ones, but there are tons of people who have covered this topic, including Aleister Crowley himself, and it's in the Golden Ball, it's in the book High Magic for Beginners. This is a really, really well-known ritual that's been well documented. I don't need to go over it again. Other people have done it much better than I probably ever will. So do your Google research, do your homework. That is your homework, to find that and at least read it and know what it is. You don't necessarily have to practice it if it doesn't fit for you, but understand what it is. And I would suggest at least doing it once, so you truly know it. So, but there are other things that you can do to protect your aura. One of the things that I do, and I've talked about this either extensively with my friends, or I'm not so sure how much I've talked about it on YouTube, because I'm not always aware of how much I talk about things on YouTube, is a shield bracelet. And from what I remember, the concept of the shield bracelet came from reading the Dresden Files. But I have taken this and actually made a shield bracelet. And a shield bracelet is basically protective jewelry. Okay? This is an evil eye bracelet. Okay, this is the evil eye. The Middle Easterns believe in the evil eye, and what the evil eye is, and this again comes from the fact that everybody is psychic. The evil eye is when someone gives you a dirty look and they wish ill on you. What this does is this protects you from that, because everybody has the ability to send out energy, because everybody is energy. And so when you send a dirty look to somebody, you're sending negative energy their way. And what this does is protects you from that. Okay, this is also hematite. This is also a magnetic hematite bracelet, and I have this, you can see, magnetic. Hematite, the nature of the stone itself is wonderful for shielding. And the way that it works is it kind of seals you off, and also neutralizes energy, because it's both positive and negative, because it's magnetic. So it will neutralize energy in general, whether it's positive or negative. Sage is also an energy neutralizer. So be aware of that, because so many things tell you to use sage to cleanse them, but if it has positive energy in it, then what you're doing with the sage is you're neutralizing that positive energy, and that's something to be aware of, because that might not be what you want to do. So that's why I'm strongly drawn to hematite, because I need some serious shielding, and hematite, the way that it's made, is specifically made to help with shielding. So using stones as jewelry will help you with shielding. The pentacle, this is a famous protective symbol, just like the evil eye. That will help boost your shielding and your protection. If you work with the African Yoruba traditions, or even if you worship your ancestors, you can, or your spirit guides, that will help protect you as well. It'll strengthen your aura, your shields, and they will protect you against other things that might hurt you. So there are tons of symbols from all cultures across the world. Find something that speaks to you. I have the Eye of Ra is another one. I have the Eye of Ra on the back of my neck, tattooed on the back of my neck. For me, that is a protection symbol. That's also in my communications. I just blanked on the word. Chakra. It's also in my communications chakra. And so tattoos, getting these powerful symbols tattooed on you can really strengthen your aura. It can do a lot of things for that, but be aware of what you're tattooing and where on your body you're tattooing it. Again, that's going to probably be a whole nother video, because tattoos can affect you, piercings can affect you in ways that you might not realize. So back to using jewelry as to strengthen your aura and for protection. This is a powerful piece because it's hematite and the evil eye, okay? And then you can do a cleansing and blessing ceremony, and you can kind of go in and meditate on the stone and dedicate this piece with a specific purpose, so that every time it's put on, every time it's worn, you're wearing it for this specific reason. And for this case, it's shielding. Okay? And another thing with shielding and energy, now there are going to be people that disagree with me on this, and that's fine, to each their own on their opinion. One hand is giving energy and the other hand is receiving energy. Now you can technically give with both hands and receive with both hands, but one hand is stronger than the other. Now, this is where people tend to differ in opinion. My opinion is, if I'm right-handed, my right hand is going to give, and my left hand, because it's the weaker hand, my less prominent hand, is going to receive energy. Now, where the opinion disagrees is if you're left-handed, I believe that the dominant hand is the hand that gives, and the non-dominant hand is the one that receives. So there are people that believe that no matter whether you're right-handed or left-handed, the left hand always receives and the right hand always gives. I think that it depends on the person and how they feel their energy works. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you which hand does which, but I can tell you for me, and in most cases my experience with other people, the dominant hand is the giving hand and the non-dominant hand is the receiving hand. And this is important when it comes to shielding, because I wear my shield bracelets on my receiving hand so that it filters and protects any energy that I might be receiving through my receiving hand. Okay, it's literally like an energy filter, because this hand is almost always receiving. Okay, you can turn it off, but it's kind of like that water valve that drips. You can never get a complete seal on it, because that's what this is made for. This is made to receive. And so by putting a shield bracelet on your receiving hand, you're going to filter what you receive so you can only receive the good stuff. So this is also important because if you're an energy worker and you want to give someone energy, you can put the shield bracelet on your giving hand and make sure that you're only sending out positive energy. Because if you're having a bad day, no matter how good of a person you are, if you're having a really bad day, you might be sending out negative energy and not even realizing it. And so that's something to be aware of. And it's kind of, this is an instrument. The jewelry is an instrument, and it's something that you would meditate and attune to its purpose. They also need to be cleansed, and I would say a regular cleansing would be about once a month. But if you're going through a very difficult time in your life and you're dealing with a lot of negative energies, it may need to be cleaned more often. Also, if you're dealing with somebody who's an energy vampire, or if you're, are just knee deep in something big and nasty, again, you know, they might need to be cleansed and recharged. These things start to become almost entities of their own, and eventually they'll become depleted from their purpose, and they're not going to work for you as well when that happens. And so they need maintenance. They need to be fed, they need to be cleansed, they need to be, you know, maintained. Okay, and this is a good way to kind of practice that concept of maintaining magical objects, because the more that you get into the higher levels of magic, the more that your tools need to be maintained. And if they're not maintained properly, well, a sword cuts two ways. So that is something to be aware of. And you know, it can be one of the downsides of practicing magic. However, this is protective magic, and if you do not maintain your protection, then the only person it's going to hurt is you, because it's not going to do the job that it's supposed to do, that you expect it to do. There are lots of different ways to cleanse things: under the light of the moon, under the light of the sun, through running water, sage. Although sage is a new... Okay, so my battery is dying, and so I want to finish up this video because it's already way long. So again, sage is a neutralizer, so when you cleanse your jewelry, maybe use another incense herb like nagchampa or sweetgrass that has a blessing energy versus sage, which is a neutralizer. Okay, another tip with stone jewelry is that it works best if it's in contact with your skin. So it can be a necklace like this one, which is hematite and tiger's eye. Again, keeping in mind the properties of the stones that are being used. If they're in contact with your skin, it's going to have a stronger effect on your aura and your energy and all of that, because their aura will affect your aura. Another thing that you can do is wear something like this. This is actually something that I specifically made. This is a basic kind of square knot weave bracelet with stones sewn in. What's really neat about macrame is great for protection and shielding, because it works off of the Celtic knot principle. The Celtic knot principle is that anything that comes towards you is going to follow the lines of the knot and get lost in it and entangled in the knot and not affect you. Okay, so that's kind of the concept behind these bracelets, or they can just be pretty and you can just wear them for fun. But if you wanted to give them a magical purpose, this is an example of how you can make anything magical if you understand the symbology behind it. Okay, this is an example of a square knot bracelet, macrame bracelet without the gemstones. So the gemstones, you can maybe use the symbology and the properties of the gemstones in themselves to boost whatever you're doing with the square knots, or just wear the knots by themselves. So that's another example of something that can be used as a shield bracelet. My ring, actually right here, this is a hematite ring. This is a hematite ring that I wear on my giving hand to make sure that I'm only sending out positive energy. My engagement ring I wear on my receiving hand. This is onyx. Okay, so there's a lot of different things that you can do, tools, symbols, all of that. Another thing that you can do is wear a mojo bag. Now this is actually a tarot card bag. It's quite a bit larger, but you can put different stones like this inside the bag and wear them on your person. It's still going to affect your aura. It's still going to give you a boost. Knowing whatever properties of the things that you put in this bag, whether it's herbs, stones, symbols, sigils, you know, anything under the sun, anything that you can think of, you can tap into the energy of that and have that energy boost your own, okay? But again, remember, it's like a battery. It needs to be recharged. Just like you have to recharge every night sleeping, and you have to have fuel all during the day, food, these things do so as well. So they do require maintenance to get the full effect from them. A little cheat that I like to use is there are certain stones that don't necessarily need to be cleansed. Quartz is one of them. Quartz can be almost a battery to other stones, and it really depends on how you set them up in a system. And you give each one kind of a job to do, okay? I believe fluorite works that way as well. I have to double check. But this is just an example of some things that you can do to boost your shielding, boost your aura, protect yourself. There's all kinds of different things that you can do all across the spectrum. And honestly, each one of those ways could be a 20-minute video. So I'm really just briefly kind of going over the basics of all those things. Again, tattoos, wearing them as jewelry, colors, the color of the clothing that you wear that day can affect. It's hence why I wear a lot of black, because I need the grounding and the protection. But the clothing that a person wears can affect their energy. You know, or maybe their energy is affecting their clothing. It could be either way. You know, so that's something to be aware of. Everything in this world is relationable, and everything in this world puts off an energy of some sort. Whether or not our tools are scientifically ready to read that energy is another story, but we are getting there. So bear that in mind. Please leave me comments, questions down below. Again, this video is already huge. I have the problem where I have so much I want to tell you, I don't know where to begin. So if you have a question that gives me a starting point, it gives me a place to begin, and I will try to stay on task for that specific information and not kind of ramble and then get off topic but try to stay on task, because there's so much information. It's one of the things I love about the occult and the new age and all of that is it's endless learning. It's endless learning. You can never learn all of it, and the more you learn, the more you realize how much there is to learn more. I hope that this was helpful. There are tons of videos on how to build protection amulets and bracelets and all of those things, and all of that affects your aura, and then can protect you and strengthen you and all of those things. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I will try to put links down below of some good protection videos on how to make different amulets and things of that nature. But be aware that everything is energy, and everything affects everything else. Everything is cause and effect. So life is simply but a ripple in the sea. Alrighty, thank you very much, guys. Have a great day. Comment down below. Subscribe. Hit the like button. I always forget that one. Hit the like button. Feel free to ask me questions. I want to know what you guys want to know, because I don't even know where to begin. So that'll at least give me a port in the storm of some of the knowledge that I would like to share with you. I hope you have a lovely, lovely day. I'm going to go for a long moonlight walk with my man and my pup dog. Bye, guys.